After hearing my girlfriend talk about infidelity, I left without saying anything. She is looking for me, but I blocked her everywhere. My girlfriend, who is 36 years old and with whom I have been in a relationship for 5 years, has cheated on me without my knowledge. I am a 38-year-old man who just recently discovered this information. I discovered it in the most unfortunate way imaginable. Let me begin by providing some background information about myself. I have never been married and I do not have any children. It's not that I don't want it either. I guess life just hasn't presented me with those opportunities yet. Okay, let's get to the story. The men and I were going to take a weekend trip to one of my friend's cabins on the lake, so I left work on Friday after work to go on the trip. There is nothing overly insane about it. Fishing, drinking games, and just plain old fun. The majority of the time, we take these excursions approximately once every 3 months in order to offer our significant others a break from us and to allow ourselves some time to ourselves. In a typical scenario, I remain for the entirety of the weekend and then depart from there in order to report to work on Monday morning. My laptop, on the other hand, was left in the office room during the weekend, and I failed to remember to retrieve it. I started making my way home at approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, with the expectation that I would arrive there by 6 o'clock. Since I was under the impression that Rachel, we'll refer to her as Rachel, wouldn't have eaten by that point, I placed a phone order at our go-to Italian restaurant, waited for it to be delivered, and then went back to the house. As soon as I went in, everything appeared to be in order. Rachel was laughing in the kitchen and I could hear her laughing, so I decided to simply walk in and surprise her on the spot. I was getting closer, and as I did, I began to overhear the conversation that she was having on the phone. In a moment, my world was completely turned upside down. I had the impression that she was speaking to her sister or possibly one of her friends, but the conversation was rather straightforward and proceeded as follows. It was an incredible evening last night. What a thoughtful and considerate lover he was. Take a break. I'm telling you, I've never had anything like it. Take a break. After meeting on Tinder, he took me out for dinner the other night. We were so close to making it to the sofa that we barely made it by the time we made it through the door. Take a break. Oh God, big, like twice as big as insert my name. Take a break. I'll definitely be taking him for a test drive again. Following the completion of that line, I simply threw the meal on the ground. It was Rachel who turned around after hearing it. I was already experiencing tears welling up in my eyes by that point in time. I simply pushed her off, went up to the office, got my laptop and then left. She hung up the phone and attempted to get in touch with me, but I was no longer available. I have not returned a single call from Rachel for the past 4 days, despite the fact that she has been texting and calling me in an extremely frantic manner. Because I am sleeping at a motel located a couple of towns away, it is quite unlikely that she will be able to locate me. Rachel has been frantically attempting to find me and that has caused my friends and my mother to phone me. However, I have reassured everyone that I am well and that there is no reason for them to be concerned about me. The idiotic phone call that I received has completely destroyed my life. I was under the impression that this lovely young lady was the one with whom I would spend the rest of my life. I am an only child, but my mother is always reminding me that she would want to have grandchildren. Due to the fact that this year would be our 6th wedding anniversary, I had intended to make my proposal on July 4th of this year. I already have the ring, and my friend and his wife are already aware of the idea because they were the ones who organized and hosted the 4th of July cookouts. I would like to thank them for their assistance. In this regard, I would be grateful for any advice you might provide. It is the first time that I have ever dealt with infidelity in any relationship, and at this point I am completely and utterly emotionally destroyed. Could I get in touch with Rachel? Is it advisable for me to listen to her after that phone call? When I think of her, I can't help but feel queasy in my stomach. I want to express my gratitude in advance to anyone who contacts me with comments. Update 1. Good morning everyone. To begin, I would want to express my gratitude to everyone for their sincere comments. I have had a very stressful week, and although I did not feel like responding to anyone's posts, I want you all to know that I did read them and your words helped me get through the week. I am looking forward to hearing from you all. This has been a terrible experience for me, and the fact that each and every one of you reached out to me through chat or left a comment has made my day a little bit brighter. With that being said, the most current update is presented below. In the evening of the previous Friday, after my friends had arrived at the hotel, I shared with them what I had listened to on the phone call. They were, to put it mildly, all 3 of them in a state of shock. They inquired as to whether or not I had observed any indications of this, and to tell you the truth, I had not. The answer I gave them was that I had no idea what I was going to do. I let my one friend know that the proposal was not going to go through, and he perfectly understood the situation given the existing circumstances. It was one of the things that I instructed my friends to do before they left their homes, and that was to turn off tracking in the event that their significant partners were checking on them and returning to Rachel. While I am aware that Rachel has a close relationship with one of the wives, I did not want to take any chances at this point in time. That evening, we spent the evening at the hotel bar, and I took a lot of shots, shot after shot, shot after shot. I was quite exhausted. It was no nice sight. From the beginning of the night to the end of the night, my friends' significant others were calling them and wondering where they were. It is to their credit that they did not back down and supported me by simply stating that we were safe and that there was no need to be concerned. After presuming where they were, one of them approached me with a request to speak with me, but I declined to engage in conversation with her. Rachel was concerned, and all she wanted was for me to return home. She insisted over and over again. Just now, I told my friend to take care of it, and I promised that I would fill them in at a later time. As well as a handful of girls who were traveling for work, I spent the most of the night hitting on the bartender, which is something I am not proud of my behavior toward. I thanked each of them for spending time with me the following day, and then they left to go back to their own homes. Because he gets to work after Rachel and I would have already left for the day, I asked one of my friends to have a look at the house that we were renting this week. He was on his way to work, and she and I would have already left for the day. The previous 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, were off for Rachel, but she returned to work on Wednesday. I hurried to the house as soon as he disclosed this information to me, and I immediately began packing as many of my belongings as I could. Dishes were piled up in the sink, clothes were strewn about the house, and the garbage can was stuffed with food that had been ordered and taken out. Getting all of my belongings out of the house took me approximately 3.5 hours. Just as a parting gesture, I cleaned up for Rachel before I left. After Rachel became aware that I had returned home and retrieved all of my possessions, she began to bombard me with phone calls and text messages throughout the afternoon and evening of that day. For the time being, I am residing at my mother's house until I am able to get a place of my own sometime in the fall. After speaking with the landlord, I learned that he will not be able to remove me from the lease unless Rachel's signature is provided. This means that I will be responsible for paying my share until October. Until then, my mother has indicated that I am welcome to stay with her. After that, I will make an effort to locate a new residence. As far as I'm aware, a 38-year-old man moving back home with his mother is an incredible experience that life has handed me. Thursday was the day that I finally got in touch with Rachel, and I informed her that we could get together at a neighborhood bar and grill downtown on Friday evening. I assured her that one of my close friends would be present to keep an eye on everything and make sure that everything was in order. She moaned for a few minutes, stating that she wanted me to come home and talk to her so that we could move on from this situation. However, I told her that if she wanted to see me, this was going to be the way that it was going to end up. In the end, she gave her consent. By the time my friend and I arrived at the location on Friday evening, Rachel had already arrived for almost 1 hour. To calm myself down, I had already consumed some food and had also taken a couple of shots of Ciroc. As we sat down, she expressed an interest in engaging in idle chatter, inquiring about me and blah blah blah. I removed that piece of junk. I indicated to her that I had a list of inquiries. Almost instantly, her eyes began to flood up. My question to her was, "How long has this been going on?" "This is the first and only time," she pledged to herself. I told her to stop talking like that. Since I stated that there was no possibility of us ever getting back together, I would appreciate it if you could simply give me the truth so that I can put this matter to rest and move on with my life. She remained steadfast in her account for a few minutes, but then, as the majority of you had anticipated, she admitted the truth. For the past 2 years, whenever I went on such vacations, she was under the impression that I was going to cheat on her. So she was also having a good time. I was fired up by this. I informed her that she was merely using this as a fucking excuse to sleep around with other people. After that, I inquired about the person she was speaking with on the phone, but she declined to provide me with an answer. Asked if they used condoms, she responded that they did so occasionally. Because I am clean, she does not need to worry about obtaining an STD test unless her most recent fling did not use one. I told her that she is fortunate that I took an STD test because I am still clean. In the end, before I departed, I informed her about my intentions for the proposal that would take place on July 4th. I showed her the ring and informed her that I was going to propose to her at the party hosting our mutual friend because that was the event where they had introduced us to one another. Approximately at this time, she suddenly began crying for no apparent reason. She pleaded for just one more opportunity. I informed her that I will love her at all times, but that our relationship is finished. Even though she has been messaging me throughout the day, I am going to block her from this platform very soon. At this very moment I am only sitting here, consuming some Buffalo Wild Wings and sipping beer while watching the fights. I have my doubts, but I'm hoping that Poirier comes out on top. It's a train wreck that is my life. In any case, I want to thank you all for listening. It is highly unlikely that I will ever have another conversation with that expletive, thus I am not sure if I will update again. Comments. C. Falcon, 663. I knew she'd say it was just once. They usually do this, dummies. Also, the statement, every time I went on those excursions for the past 2 years, she assumed I was going to cheat on her, so she was having fun too. Blame shifting is a common cheater technique. It is your fault, OP. I do not think so. I am sorry your landlord did not allow you out of your lease, but at least you have your mother. It isn't ideal, but it is only temporary. It was entirely her loss. Unfortunately, she was going to marry someone. A nice man had chosen and desired her, and she had thrown it all away for pleasure. It's time to focus on yourself and your healing. Take it easy on the drinks, be careful. You are going to be fine. Fly Gusk. OP, I'm pleased you're clean, but it's unfortunate that she was such a POS and used that as an excuse to believe you were going to cheat on her during those travels. It's also unfortunate that she didn't want to identify who she was speaking with, but I'm guessing it was someone in your tight circle of friends, probably one of your mate's spouses. She probably didn't want to be identified because it could get her in trouble. You may wish to warn your friends about these possibilities. Now, in terms of her reaction and actions at the meal, she exhibited no remorse and even attempted to trickle the truth to you. If she was truly sorry for what she had done, she would have broken down before the ring reveal. She only seemed to realize her mistake when you showed her the ring and discussed the proposal. It's time to leave the alcohol behind and begin your healing path. I hope everything goes well, and if you find out who was on the other end of that call, please keep us updated. Update 2. Dear fellow Redditors, how are you doing? I would want to express my gratitude to each of you for the kind remarks. They have meant a great deal to me. During the past day, a few events have transpired, and I thought it would be best to fill you in on them. In spite of the fact that it is not particularly exciting, here it is. I am free and clear, and there is no need for me to worry about any confrontation with Rachel because she is no longer invited to the cookout that will be held on the 4th of July occasion. While I was at the bar, one of the spouses was attempting to strike up a conversation with me, as you may recall from my previous story. In the 4th of July barbecue, she is the wife who is in charge of hosting. It would appear that Rachel had explained to her that she had only cheated on her partner once, and that it was a grave error on her part. This is the reason why she was attempting to convince me to share my thoughts with her. On Tuesday, I had a conversation with her, and during that conversation, I told her the complete truth. Almost immediately, she called Rachel, who informed me that my account of the events was accurate and was furious. As she began to rage at her, she informed her that it would be better if she did not show up to the event that was going to take place on the 4th of July because I was going to be there, and to tell you the truth, what she did to me was horrible and revolting. After that, she requested me to pardon her and stated that she was unaware of the situation. My explanation was that it was not her fault, and that she had no grounds for requesting forgiveness for what she had done. A person who was important to both of us was the one who deceived us. When it comes to the question of who was on the phone with her, I can only speculate that it was her sister. The two wives who are friends with her have maintained their steadfastness and insisted that they were unaware that Rachel was engaging in this behavior. It would appear that on Saturday evenings, when we were away, they would have a girls' night in my place until approximately 11 o'clock at night, during which time they would drink wine and speak about things that are typical of girls. A confirmation of this was provided by the individual who is not even close friends with her but participated in these activities. Another factor that leads me to believe that it was her sister is the fact that I have tried to get in touch with her 3 times already, but I have not received any response from her by way of a text message, a phone call, or anything else. My mother has contacted me and expressed her disappointment in the split. She also inquired as to whether there is anything they can do to convince me to change my decision, but I have informed her that this is not going to happen. As a result of the fact that I returned to work on Monday after taking the previous week off, I am now back to my regular schedule. Going forward, I will not consume any more alcohol. My liver will be grateful to me for that. This community has been of great assistance to me, and I would like to express my gratitude to each and every one of you for everything that you have done. Considering that it appears that this is the conclusion of the matter, I am unsure whether or not I will update this account again. It is important to note that Rachel has been blocked on all platforms, which means that she is currently unable to communicate with me. The person who was hosting the cookout informed me that she is not feeling well at the moment, and she did so before I explained what had actually occurred. The fact of the matter is, however, that I am not doing very well either, But I am moving on and putting all of this behind me. Once again, many thanks to the community. You guys are incredible. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.